Excuse me, ma'am, what do you think you're doing here?
Taking out my trash, officer. My office is right here.
That dumpster is private property. You can't use it.
I'm an attorney. I know the law, and this is my office right here.
Ma'am, you're illegally dumping trash.
You have no right to run my ID. That's harassment.
This is suspicious. I don't...
Officer Marcus Webb had been with the Phoenix Police Department for 6 years, a duration that should have been impossible given the chilling consistency of his internal affairs record. Across those 6 years, he had accumulated 11 formal complaints, and 10 of them, a staggering 91%, involved the stops and harassment of black professionals in commercial areas of the city. Each complaint was a carbon copy of the last. Webb approached people who were exactly where they belonged, dentists, architects, executives, questioned their right to be there, demanded identification without any probable cause, and instantly escalated the situation when the individuals asserted their constitutional rights. Each time, the Phoenix Police Department followed procedure by mandating retraining, implicit bias workshops, de-escalation seminars, community policing classes, checklists that Webb dutifully completed, signed, and then promptly discarded, never internalizing the lessons. The systemic failure was not that Webb was biased, but that the department allowed a man with a clear, documented pattern of civil rights violations to remain armed and on the streets. On a bright, dry Saturday afternoon in Phoenix, Arizona, that toxic pattern finally collided with a person uniquely equipped with the knowledge, resources, and determination to ensure it ended permanently. Linda Mabatha, a black woman in her late 30s, was a formidable civil rights attorney, a specialist in police misconduct cases, and she was simply taking out her office trash during a working lunch break. She carried a manila folder filled with sensitive case documents and her phone, walking the short distance from the Mabatha Law Group office to the shared dumpster in the Camelback Business Park complex where she had leased space for 4 years. No crime was being committed, no violation was taking place, and no disturbance was being caused. Just a lawyer attending to the mundane chores of running a practice between the demands of high-stakes litigation. But Officer Webb, driving through the complex on a self-styled proactive patrol, saw her through the opaque lens of his career-defining bias. He made a snap judgment that would ultimately cost the city of Phoenix $2.7 million, end his career, and expose a department that had ignored a decade's worth of warnings about his conduct. The Camelback Business Park was a sprawling network of low-rise buildings painted in muted desert tones, tan and beige. A quiet, professional environment leased by accountants, consultants, and small legal firms. It was the kind of place defined by stability and routine, not crime. It was 1:15 p.m., and the Arizona sun beat down with its dry, relentless intensity. Most offices were closed for the weekend, leaving the parking lots mostly empty, save for a few vehicles belonging to dedicated professionals catching up on work. Linda Mabatha was one of those dedicated professionals. She had practiced civil rights law in Phoenix for 12 years, a decade spent representing clients who had been wrongfully terminated, discriminated against, or had their constitutional rights violated by institutions, including the police. She had successfully won landmark settlements, argued before the Arizona Court of Appeals, and was recognized by the State Bar Association for her extensive pro bono work. Her colleagues respected her clients adored her, and her opponents, particularly those representing municipal entities, feared her methodical approach and deep understanding of the 4th and 14th Amendments. That afternoon, Linda was drafting a crucial brief due Monday, meticulously reviewing case law to build the foundation for a significant employment discrimination claim. Around lunchtime, she accumulated a small bag of office trash, shredded papers, an empty salad container, a coffee cup. She grabbed the trash bag, secured the manila folder containing the case file she needed to review, locked the office door, and walked the 30 feet across the parking lot to the shared dumpster that serviced her building. She was dressed professionally, in a navy blue blazer over a light pink blouse, her hair neatly pulled back, exactly what you would expect from a civil rights attorney working on a Saturday. She lifted the heavy dumpster lid, tossed the trash bag inside, and let the lid fall closed. The action was simple, routine, and entirely legal, a task she had performed hundreds of times in her 4 years at that location. But Officer Marcus Webb, driving his patrol car through the complex, saw her. Webb had been warned repeatedly about his behavior, but he was immune to retraining. His internal file was a disaster. He had stopped a black dentist leaving his practice after hours and questioned whether he truly owned the building. He detained a black architect at a construction site because he looked like a trespasser. And he had harassed a black female executive retrieving coffee from her own company's break room, forcing her to call her supervisor to verify her employment. Every incident was identical. Webb saw a black person in a professional setting, his implicit bias triggered, and he decided to investigate. The pattern was clear. The motive was race, and the consequence had always been negligible: a supervisor's note, a signed retraining form, and the continuation of his paid patrol duty. Webb was protected by a system that prioritized staffing over accountability. That afternoon, Webb saw the black woman in professional attire, alone in a nearly empty parking lot, walking from a dumpster. His internal calculation was instantaneous. She doesn't fit. This is a professional complex. She's probably dumping residential trash illegally. She might be trespassing. I need to check this out. He did not consider she might work there. He ignored the business attire. He failed to see the confident, unhurried gait. He only saw what his bias trained him to see: a black woman who, in his mind, probably did not belong in this expensive professional environment. Webb pulled his patrol car into the lot, parking sharply and directly behind Linda's white sedan, effectively blocking her in. He stepped out, his hand instinctively resting on his belt, and walked toward her as she was heading back to the refuge of her air-conditioned office. "Excuse me, ma'am, what do you think you're doing here?" Linda stopped and turned, instantly recognizing the predatory tone. Not a polite inquiry, but an accusation wrapped in a question. She had represented dozens of clients who had been through this exact scenario, and a cold certainty settled over her. She knew exactly what was coming, and she knew exactly how to dismantle it. "Taking out my trash, officer. My office is right here." She gestured to the building 15 feet away, where a small bronze nameplate next to the door clearly read Mabatha Law Group. Webb looked at the building, then back at her, his skepticism undisguised. "That dumpster's private property. You can't use it." Linda's expression shifted from polite compliance to professional engagement. She was now speaking as the attorney, not the citizen. "Officer, I lease office space in this building. That dumpster services this building and the 3 others in this section. I've been using it for 4 years. I have every legal right to dispose of my office waste there. Proof of that?" "Proof?" Linda shifted the manila folder. "Officer, what is this really about?" "I'm taking out trash from my law office. There's no crime here, no violation, no reason for you to stop me." Webb stepped closer, his posture becoming physically intimidating. "I don't care what you say you are. I've had problems with people illegally dumping in these dumpsters. I need to verify you're authorized to use it." "Problems with people illegally dumping," Linda repeated slowly, letting the veiled accusation hang in the dry desert air. "Officer, what's your name?" "Officer Webb." "Officer Webb, I'm going to be very clear with you. I am Attorney Linda Mabatha. I practice civil rights law. I have represented dozens of clients who've been racially profiled by police officers. And right now, you are racially profiling me. You stopped me for taking out my office trash because you saw a black woman in a professional complex and decided I didn't belong here. That's textbook discrimination." Webb's face flushed with anger and defensiveness. "Ma'am, you're illegally dumping trash. I'll need to see your ID." "You have no right to run my ID. There is no reasonable suspicion of any crime. This is harassment, and if you were actually trained properly, you'd know that." "This is suspicious. I don't believe you." Linda's eyes narrowed, a cold, predatory focus sharpening her gaze. "You don't believe I'm an attorney, even though I just told you I practice law? Even though my office is 15 feet away with my name on it? Even though I'm standing here in professional attire on a Saturday afternoon, clearly working? You don't believe me because I'm black and you can't imagine that a black woman could be a successful civil rights attorney in Phoenix. Is that about right, Officer Webb? I'm investigating a potential violation. No, you're not, and if you keep this up, you'll be the one getting sued. This was the collision. Officer Marcus Webb had profiled black dentists and executives, people who often lacked the specialized knowledge or resources to fight back effectively. But he had never, in his entire 6 years, profiled an attorney who specialized in suing police officers. He had targeted someone who understood the intricacies of Fourth Amendment violations better than he understood how to tie his own boots. Webb should have retreated. He should have verified her office lease through the complex management. He should have apologized and left. But his pattern of behavior, his deeply ingrained prejudice, and his inability to admit fault, all of it propelled him toward his own termination. "Ma'am, turn around and put your hands behind your back." Linda's eyes widened, the magnitude of the officer's irreversible mistake registering clearly. "You're arresting me for what? Taking out my trash? You're trespassing and illegally dumping, and you're refusing to provide identification." "I'm not trespassing. I lease an office here and I don't have to provide identification when I haven't committed a crime. This is a Fourth Amendment violation and you know it." Webb reached for his handcuffs. "Turn around." "I am not turning around. You have no legal authority to arrest me. I have committed no crime. I am standing in a parking lot that I have legal access to, outside an office that I pay rent for, holding my own case files." She held up the manila folder. "If you touch me, if you put those handcuffs on me, you will be sued personally, and this department will be sued institutionally. Do you understand what I'm telling you?" Webb grabbed her arm hard. Linda pulled back, not violently, but firmly, her legal training instantly guiding her reaction. "Do not touch me. I am an attorney, I am recording this mentally, and I will document every word you've said." "You are violating my civil rights." Webb yanked her arm harder, attempting to spin her around and force compliance. Linda maintained her balance, her focus absolute. "This is assault. You are committing assault." The manila folder slipped from her hand, scattering crucial case papers across the sun-baked pavement. Webb forced her against the side of her own car, pulling her arms viciously behind her back. The handcuffs clicked into place. "This is illegal detention," Linda stated, her voice steady and controlled despite the pain and adrenaline. "You have no probable cause. You have no reasonable suspicion. You have nothing but your bias against a black woman in a professional setting." Webb said nothing, avoiding eye contact, already recognizing that this arrest was different. He simply marched her toward his patrol car. A man, an accountant who had been working in a nearby office and heard the commotion, emerged and approached the scene. "Hey, what's going on? That's Linda. She's an attorney. Her office is right there." Webb kept walking. "Police business. Stay back." "But she works here. I've seen her here for years. I said stay back." The accountant, witnessing the unlawful arrest of a highly respected professional, pulled out his phone and began recording. Webb saw the phone but did not stop, placing Linda handcuffed in the back of the patrol car and shutting the door. Linda sat there, furious and humiliated, but completely focused, watching through the window as the accountant retrieved her scattered case files and the manila folder. The case was already building itself. Webb radioed dispatch. "Dispatch, this is Unit 4-3. I have a female in custody for trespassing and illegal dumping at Camelback Business Park. Need a supervisor to my location." Within minutes, Sergeant Rachel Stein arrived. Stein had been with Phoenix PD for 14 years, knew Webb's record, and instantly recognized the pattern. When she saw a black woman in professional attire handcuffed in Webb's patrol car, she knew the department was in catastrophic trouble. Stein approached Webb. "What's the situation?" "Female trespassing and illegally dumping trash in a commercial dumpster. Refused to provide ID. Got aggressive when I tried to verify her presence." Stein looked at the accountant who was holding Linda's recovered papers. "Do you know this woman?"
"Yes, ma'am. That's Attorney Linda Mabatha. She's been practicing law in that office over there for years. She's not trespassing. She works here." Stein closed her eyes, took a deep, weary breath, and walked to Webb's patrol car. She opened the back door. "Ma'am, I'm Sergeant Stein. I apologize for this situation. Can you tell me what happened?" Linda's voice, though calm, was razor-sharp and carried the full weight of her legal expertise. "Sergeant, I am Attorney Linda Mabatha. I practice civil rights law. I lease office space in Building C. I was taking out my office trash using the dumpster that services my building when Officer Webb stopped me and accused me of trespassing and illegal dumping. I identified myself. I explained that I work here. I informed him he had no legal basis to detain me. He ignored everything I said and arrested me anyway. This is racial profiling. This is unlawful detention, and this is going to cost your department millions." Stein turned back to Webb, her voice cold. "Did you verify her office lease before you arrested her?" She refused to. "That's not what I asked. Did you verify that she works here?" Webb hesitated. "I was going to." "You arrested her first." Stein's voice hardened. "You arrested an attorney in her own office complex for taking out her trash without verifying anything." She turned back to Linda.
Miss Mabatha, I'm going to uncuff you immediately. Do you need medical attention? No, but I do need your name, his badge number, his body camera footage, and a formal incident report because I'm filing a lawsuit before the end of business Monday. Stein nodded. "You'll have everything you need." She unlocked the handcuffs and helped Linda out of the patrol car. "Again, I apologize. This should never have happened." Linda rubbed her wrists, staring directly at Webb, who stood off to the side, finally grasping the irreversible magnitude of his mistake. "Officer Webb, you just profiled a civil rights attorney who specializes in suing police officers. I couldn't have scripted a better case if I tried." By Monday morning, the story was a national headline. Civil rights attorney arrested for taking out trash at her own law office. Phoenix cop detains lawyer in her workplace parking lot. The optics were catastrophic, and the facts were indefensible. Linda Mabatha held a press conference outside the police station, her papers from the manila folder organized into a clear legal timeline. "On Saturday, I was arrested for being a successful black woman in a professional environment. Officer Webb saw me taking out my trash and decided I was a criminal. Not because of anything I did, but because in his mind, black people don't belong in professional complexes unless they're cleaning or committing crimes. He couldn't imagine that I might be the attorney whose name is on the door." She directly targeted the system. Officer Webb has 11 formal complaints in 6 years. 10 of them involve black professionals. This wasn't an isolated incident. This was a pattern that Phoenix PD allowed to continue for years, and now they're going to pay for it. Linda didn't need external help. She was the expert. She filed the lawsuit herself within 72 hours, naming Officer Marcus Webb, his negligent supervisors, and the Phoenix Police Department. The allegations were comprehensive: unlawful arrest, racial profiling, Fourth Amendment violations, assault and battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and negligent retention and supervision of an officer with a documented pattern of bias. The complaint included Webb's entire damning complaint history, 11 incidents, 10 involving black professionals, all documented, all dismissed with inadequate retraining. Phoenix PD's attorneys immediately recognized the case as a complete disaster. Linda Mabatha was an ideal plaintiff, experienced, credentialed, never arrested, and specializing in the precise area of the law they were now defending. The city settled before the case even reached the discovery phase. $2.7 million paid to attorney Linda Mabatha, the largest settlement in Phoenix history for a wrongful arrest involving a professional. Officer Marcus Webb was terminated 9 weeks after the incident. The termination letter was final. Officer Webb engaged in racial profiling and unlawful arrest of a licensed attorney in her place of business. His pattern of similar conduct documented through 11 previous complaints demonstrates an inability to serve without bias. His employment is terminated immediately. Webb was permanently entered into the National Decertification Index. His union reviewed the case and quietly withdrew its support, acknowledging the impossibility of defending an officer who had profiled a civil rights attorney specializing in police misconduct. Linda Mabatha's public response to Webb's apology was decisive. Officer Webb's apology is meaningless. He didn't make an error. He followed a pattern he'd established over 6 years. The real question is why Phoenix PD allowed that pattern to continue through 11 complaints. The Department of Justice opened a pattern and practice investigation into Phoenix PD's handling of racial profiling complaints, confirming systemic negligence. Complaints were closed without proper investigation. Retraining was a mere box-checking exercise, and supervisors prioritized officer retention over community safety. Reforms were eventually mandated: mandatory verification before any trespassing arrest, automatic investigation for any officer with 3 similar complaints, real-time body camera review, and a new partnership with civil rights organizations to monitor complaint patterns. Linda Mabatha's final testimony before the Phoenix City Council was precise and devastating. "I represent people who've been profiled, discriminated against, and violated. I never thought I'd become my own client. But Officer Webb saw me and made an assumption based on nothing but my race. I was taking out trash at my law office, where my name is literally on the door, and he decided I was a criminal." She concluded by holding up Webb's complaint history. Every warning sign was ignored, and Phoenix PD let him keep patrolling until he finally targeted someone who could force accountability. "I have resources, I have knowledge, I have the ability to sue and win. But what about everyone else? What about the 10 black professionals Officer Webb profiled before me who didn't have law degrees, who couldn't afford attorneys? The $2.7 million settlement is what my civil rights violation cost this city. But money doesn't change the fact that I was handcuffed in my own office parking lot for taking out my trash. Money doesn't erase the humiliation of being treated like a criminal by someone who couldn't imagine that a black woman could be a successful attorney. And money definitely doesn't prevent the next Officer Webb from doing the same thing to the next victim." The real cost, she emphasized, was in the shattered dignity and broken trust. The reforms came after the 11th complaint, 10 complaints too late. The system chose convenience, filling patrol shifts, over protecting the community from a known threat. Linda Mabatha, the civil rights attorney, became the victim, handcuffed for the simple, routine crime of being a black professional in a place where an officer's bias told him she didn't belong. Her success, ironically, was the final piece of evidence needed to dismantle the career of the officer who arrested her.